Hey team, just a quick follow-up to the post I did the other day about how strong we are, how we don't come from a lineage of weaklings, we come from a lineage of ancestors who were survivors, who endured. I got some private messages from people which suggested that really hit the mark for some people who are struggling a bit at the moment. One thing that's really different, radically different between ourselves today and our ancestors though is this. Our ancestors were completely connected with other people on a daily basis. They were part of a tribe where their survival depended on connection and cooperation, collaboration, all of those great things. We now inhabit a period of time where you can be chronically socially isolated. You don't need to hunt and gather with other people. You can just go to the supermarket, and then you can go home and just watch Netflix by yourself or scroll reels. And so one of the things I wanted to say today is that it's really important that we reach out to each other and we create that sense of tribe and connection. And so I'm going to give you a little framework, a little model that you can use, the ALEC model, to have conversations with people who potentially are struggling. Now, some of you are naturally good at this or are practiced at this. But if you're more like me, where by inclination and by experience you're a bit of a knuckle dragger, you're not that great with emotional conversations, this can be an incredibly useful tool to use. And ALEC is an acronym that stands for Ask, Listen, Encourage Action, and Check In. And the idea is that you just start the conversation. How have things been for you lately? Hey, so what's going on? How are you dealing with all the uncertainty? Whatever it is that's relevant, you start the conversation and then you listen. Now, if you're like me, listening normally often involves waiting your turn. But this is not an effective strategy in this context. You really need to actually listen to people. And one of the tricks that I use that a lot of people find incredibly valuable is this. Listen like you might be tested. That'll prompt you to be way more curious and to drill down and seek clarification if anything's ambiguous. For example, how are you going? Good? Oh yeah, cool. What's going well? Good in what way? If you were going to be tested on it, you will ask those good follow-up questions. You won't just let things slide at a superficial level. And then the encourage action bit, this does not require you to be a clinical psychologist. It's not about prescribing things. It's about encouraging people to take the actions that they often know would be good for them. Hey, so look, what would be one thing that it would be useful for you to start doing right now that would be helpful? Or what would be one thing that would be useful to stop doing at the moment in these circumstances? Or maybe it's about making use of resources available to them. When I talk to leaders in organizations, a lot of organizations have an employee assistance program that people can use for some free confidential counseling. So it's more around, have you thought about using them? Do you know how to access them? But for people in general, there's normally such resources too. Like in New Zealand, you can text or call 1737, need to chat, and have a confidential conversation with a trained counsellor. So there are options available, and that's what the encourage action piece is about. It's not about you prescribing stuff, and you don't have to have the answers. In fact, it's not really helpful if you try to tell people what to do in these circumstances. And then the check-in piece, self-explanatory, right? Don't let this conversation go. Check in with people on subsequent occasions. Hey, just want to check and see how things are now. Did you have the opportunity to do that, to contact that person? Did you manage to start going to bed earlier? Whatever it is. All right, team. ALEC, ask, listen, encourage action, and check in. It's a great way to create that sense of tribe, so that people know that others care about them. They're not alone in this. Something which can replicate the experience of our ancestors a little bit, because again, we come from a lineage of bloody survivors, people who endure, but they were part of a tribe. They weren't socially isolated. All right, team, you got this.